Welcome, everyone, to Eric and Lynda Live. It's Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We welcome you to our show today.
Yes.
We got a great guest today.
We do.
Yeah, somebody spectacular.
Always do.
Yeah, we do.
I'm excited about this one because she almost made me cry about all the wonderful things she's doing. It's just we need more people like her on this planet.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm Eric.
And I'm Lynda. Welcome to our show, Work5 209. We're out in Tracy, California. We're a co-working space, remote workspace, and we're expanding. We're doing many different things. During the pandemic, we started doing these live shows, and they were half hour. And we were just like, what do we do? Let's just talk on Facebook Live because we didn't have anything to do. We're shut down. It was a pandemic. And then we did it for quite some time. And then we met Shelty. And she spiced up our work, our Work5 209 Eric and Lynda live show.
Yeah, she did.
And she created these wonderful commercials. And she just does a fabulous job.
Yeah, she keeps us
I'm
on
so
track.
blessed.
She keeps on track.
She does.
She does it all, right? She's sound check, mic check. She's video check. Nope. Turn on the light, turn off the light.
Yes.
Hey, if you're looking for somebody spectacular to help you with your podcast or your show, check her out.
When to chew gum, when not to chew gum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I like my gum.
Yeah, you do.
You know, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to maintain it. Hey, you guys out there watching, if you see me chewing gum too much, just tell me to stop.
You know, Eric, he does. As long as I've known him, we took a portrait and he was chewing some fluorescent green gum and we looked all great. And then you look and you're like, what is that in your mouth?
Yeah.
And it's this big green piece of gum in his mouth and just ruined my portrait. Pictures that we spent a couple $100 for. So.
But that really wasn't my fault. I think that was the photographer's fault. So that photographer should have caught that, right?
Like, who takes pictures with gum in their mouth? I don't like who does that. Oh, you do.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's all good. I learned a valuable lesson because those pictures are expensive, and it's all good though.
Yes, and maybe you'll learn about doing live shows without chewing gum.
Yeah. So, just what's going on in the news today?
I do want to talk about something really cool.
Yeah.
Last night on the news, the Philippines had their first gold medalist. And they were like, it's been a long awaited time for the first gold medalist from the Philippines. She was she got her gold medal in weightlifting. And she, oh my God, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And you know what's so crazy is that she didn't have the equipment that we have in the States. And they were showing pictures of her lifting weights. There were water bottles on a stick on each side of the stick, and she would practice by doing that. And so it's really like cool, her story, and
Well, she didn't have the right tools, but she
created the tools. But she's still a gold medalist. That's awesome.
She was very innovative.
Yeah.
What happened? Does anybody know what happened to Simone Biles? I seen that she kind of checked out too, but I'm not sure what's going on with her. But something happened where I think she couldn't compete.
Oh no.
But, But
if anybody can inform us, hit us up on the chat.
Yeah, let us know. So this guest that we're going to be bringing up right after these commercial breaks, she is a Work5 member. So I am proud to say that she's part of the Work5 family, which is exciting. She's going to bring up a lot of value to someone out there. Her story is phenomenal. She's doing a lot. And if you ever thought that you couldn't do something, man, she's going to encourage you to be like, wow, how does she do all that in one day?
She has resources definitely too, and the tools that can help you get to where you need to go. I do want to mention the commercials. So can you pop up a flyer that we have on the commercials that Shelty has created for us?
We got advertisement plans for you. If you're looking for a commercial to be on our spot, to post on our social media, these are some of our advertising plans that we offer. We also give you a discount if you get a 3-month contract. So reach out to us, shoot us an email. workvine209.com if you want to check that out. There's our favorite viewer right
Yes,
there.
hey,
There she is. One of our favorite viewers. We have so many people that watch our show, and it's always a blessing for you guys to be a part of our show. But before we go to commercial break,
the numbers up game. Yes. So that's another thing we incorporated into our live show. We play this numbers up game, and it's been popular. There are some rules. You have to be present to win. You pick a number of 1 through 50 without going over the number. The first person that picks a number is the owner of that number. And if you pick the number that's closest to mine without going over, you win a $10 gift card from Amazon. And we've got up to $40 at one time because we didn't have a winner. So look, there we go.
There's already a number.
Yes,
Y'all better put your numbers in there.
Definitely put your numbers in throughout the show. And then when we announce the number, we'll call you out, and you have to respond via chat and give us your DM me?
Email. Just send us your email.
And we'll send it to you electronically.
All right. We're going to go to commercial break, and we'll be right back with our special guest.
Spent a lifetime learning how to be like you, learning how to walk like you, learning how to do what you did in the earth, time after time. Spent a lifetime learning how to see like you, learning how to love like you, learning how to do what you did in the earth, time after time.
Welcome back, everyone. That was a commercial that Shelty produced for us. Flip Furniture out here in Stockton. Yeah. Go out and see him. He has some great furniture, repurposed furniture, high quality furniture at good prices. And to be more like you, by our very own Shelty. And more information when that's going to be out will be coming. You know, Shelty, who wrote the music to that? It's really, I like it.
Yeah, she's writing the show.
Yeah.
She's doing it. Shelty.
Love it. So, without further ado, I'm going to have Eric introduce our guest speaker this evening.
So our guest today is all the way from Tracy. She's local right now, and she is a Workvine member. She is part of VISA, the Inclusion, Diversity. She also has a podcast, Jolly Entertainment or Enterprises. How about that? Yes. Jolly Enterprises. She does so many things, right? She's the CEO of Jolly Enterprises. She also is on the board of a company called Balance that helps you with your credit repair. We're going to see if we can tap into a little bit of all of that for you today.
Yes.
And let's welcome our guest, Melyssa Barrett.
Hey, Melyssa.
What's up?
Hello. Hello.
Mouthful.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on our show.
He'll get the titles right and the things.
Yeah, it's hard for me all the time.
Yes.
I mean, I get excited too because she gets excited, and then I'm like, man, she's this, she's this, she's this. I probably should write it down and just put it in a list and just read it, but I just feel better when I can.
When he's all over the place.
Yeah.
You should see his notes. They're all over the place.
It's all good. A Google search will do it, right?
Yeah. So, welcome to our show.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Melyssa.
Well, so Melyssa, I've actually lived in Tracy now for over 25 years, which is kind of nerve-wracking since I was literally commuting before last year for 5 hours a day.
Wow.
But I've worked at Visa for almost 30 years. I'm part of a number of nonprofit organizations, including the board of directors for Balance. And we can talk a little bit about what they do. But I've always worked in risk management, risk products,
Yes.
and more recently was in the area of identity and authentication, but also always involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so over the past year, I decided I wanted to break out and focus on creating my own company, and just focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So Jolly Enterprises, was reborn, should I say. And my husband, who, he was a storyteller. He passed away a few years back. And he called himself the Jolly. So he always did stories he was very focused on oral tradition storytelling. So he was always focused on African and African diasporan stories, although he was a history fanatic of all types of history. And so there was a real appreciation for diversity, ethnicity, all sorts of attributes that we have when it comes to diversity. So it's always been an area that I am just passionate about and really interested in making sure that people make an impact and that we have an impact in our community.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And I think a lot of people sometimes they don't understand, the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Can you share a little bit about what that means to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny that's a great question, because I think, there's a lot of these words that get tossed around nowadays, right? Whether it's diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and really, to me, you can have diversity without inclusion, but you can't have inclusion without diversity, right? So the whole point is that when you think about diversity, you see that there are multiple identities represented in an organization or in you. I mean, if I look at myself, I have African American and Hispanic. I'm not just one thing. I am a variety of things. And I say things lightly, but my identity is full of complexities in terms of who I am. Equity is really about kind of, as an organization, if you're a company, you're looking at how you constantly and consistently recognize and redistribute power. So the way people come to work, experience work, may be different depending on who they are and what their experience is. Inclusion is all about making sure everybody's thoughts, ideas, and perspectives, that all of those individuals matter. And then belonging, which I threw in, is really about creating and maintaining an organization that engages really the full potential of every individual. And that's kind of where innovation really thrives. The views and beliefs and values are really integrated into your business, and everybody feels like they are valued in the organization.
That's so strong, because when you feel like you belong, it's like you're invested. It's like,
right.
it means something to you. You're present. You're putting in, because you belong. If you say you belong to an organization, it's like, I'm a part of that organization.
That's right.
So and I like
right. And when you're in a company, you want to be able to believe in what they're doing, right? Wholeheartedly. So you will bring your entire self to work.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really good.
And so there was one other thing that I really liked what you said. You can have diversity, but you can't have inclusion without
diversity. Yeah.
And that's so powerful. I never really broke it down. Yeah. So yeah, it's great to have diversity, but you also have to have inclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like hand in hand. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got to have both, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it. It just it made me think about, any company, right? When you feel a part and you feel like, hey, I'm a part of this, you take ownership. And I think you can be a lot more productive. And because you start feeling like this is my company and I want to see it thrive. But when you're, not part of it, you're just kind of this outsider. And I think,
Right.
people start doing bad stuff when they're not on the inside, right?
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
or
that's
they
it.
leave, right? Or they
Or
don't
they
want to
leave.
do business with you, or
And
Right.
I think every large company needs to have that type of training, or an inclusion, diversity, equity training within the company or organization, and that will help bring belonging. And I just think it's just needed totally. Eric and I, we run small businesses, but we're at the top of diversity and inclusion because we're so
Yeah. Yeah.
we're at the top, and that's what we bring. But when we're little, and we talk about it all the time, but it's the big organizations that I think is so imperative to work into their
Yeah.
employee handbook, or
well, and even as a small business, it starts at the top, right? So if you all are at the top, it's how you conduct your business will absolutely help you when you're thinking about, how you're doing business in the world. You want to be able to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion into your day-to-day solutions that you're providing, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're obviously helping me. I'm a person of color.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of companies out there that, sometimes they don't think about what they could do to actually impact another company, how they can, assess their own supply chain, diversify their supply chain. There's all sorts of things we can be doing.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's good.
it goes hand in hand too, though. Even though we're helping you, you help us too, because we learn, and that's what it's about in our space, is that iron sharpens iron, to me. And so we're learning from each other.
Yeah.
And even though you're a member at my business, we invest in our members,
Yeah.
and vice versa. They
Yeah. We always
Absolutely.
invest in us,
we always look for the win-win, right? It's never about us and them. It's like, how can you win? How can we win? It's about collaborating our efforts, right? So that we become a stronger people as a whole. And so, I think this is something that, is really being talked about in the news. And I think a lot of companies are starting to have departments that focus on, diversity and inclusion. And I think it's a good thing because, for a long time, it's felt like, and I'm going kind of off topic here, but like you're sitting in the back seat, right? And, you need to be in the front seat. Let us drive too, right? We all want to be drivers at some point. And if we know we have the ability to, then, I feel like we can thrive and grow more, right? And we can
Yes.
also add a lot of value that has not been tapped into.
Right. And you're not off topic at all. That's exactly on point.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't want to feel like we're in the back seat. We want people to feel like everybody's sitting at the table and everybody is valued for the perspective that they bring.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
It's good. I mean, we're going to go to commercial right now, but it's also for women too. Like, so I said, Eric, remember what you said, because sometimes women get the back seat a lot of the
Yes,
time.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Especially at upper levels. And so even with Workvine 209, I'm the CEO, but then they look at Eric because he's the male figure of the company. And I'm like, hold on, I drive the car too. We take turns. So
there you go.
but we're going to get back with more questions for you, Melyssa, right after this commercial break.
But before we go to commercial, remember the numbers update.
Yes.
Yeah. Pick a number between 1 and 50. The closest without going over will be the winner. One winner wins $10 Amazon gift card.
Yes.
Yeah. So put your numbers in.
And we'll see you in a minute.
In just a minute. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back. We're here with Melyssa Barrett. I can't name all the titles, but she's a Wonder Woman, and I just am so grateful that she's in our sphere.
Yeah, I'll put the titles up for you. How about that?
Yeah,
we'll run through them. Check out our website too. I'll put that in the chat for you guys. Let's talk a little bit about Jolly, right? Jolly Enterprises. Share your CEO, Jolly Enterprises, and you mentioned a little bit it came from your husband, and share what you do with Jolly Enterprises.
Or where it started. Let's start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So Jolly Enterprises really started as a storytelling company. So when my husband was alive, he was focused on storytelling. And he would go all sorts of places, whether it was an organization, it could be in the schools, it could be to different, state agencies. But at that point, a lot of what he was doing was really focused on kind of educating people on the experience and the history that probably they hadn't heard when they were in school. And so, fast forward, he passes away. Of course, it's a tragic situation, but it also kind of made me step back and really kind of figure out, when you're a couple for so long, you kind of go, wait, who am I as a person and what am I doing? So I kind of stepped back. I ended up connecting with a couple of coaches who really kind of were helping me figure out who I was at this point. And what's interesting is, although I've worked at Visa for so long and I have literally enjoyed every day working there, it's a fabulous company, but I noticed that I would be working 18 hours a day, with a pandemic hit, and I was like stuck in this little box of an office and trying to figure out like what, how I can be more impactful. And so, I had been working towards doing something else. I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And so for me, Jolly Enterprises, I started just having conversations with people about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and some of the things that we were doing at the time, sitting on the Black Executive Council, really, being involved in some unique kind of events that we were putting on to really educate and really expand the conversation throughout our company. I was really interested in learning about what other people were doing, what other companies were doing, and what were other diversity officers or HR professionals really interested in, what were their challenges. And so, the Jolly podcast was born. And it was one of those where, the pandemic hit and I was like, maybe I should do this another time. And, one of my coaches, I have to give him credit because he was like, we all have gifts. And the minute we eliminate those gifts or we delay those gifts, it's almost like we're being selfish, because we have so much to give and everybody's out there waiting for your gift. And if you're not using it, it's really not a gift. So it was one of those where it was like, the murder of George Floyd occurred. And it was like, this conversation, the things that I'm doing with respect to consulting on diversity, equity, and inclusion is needed more than ever. The momentum was out there. And people were asking a lot of questions about, what they could do. And so Jolly Enterprises for me, aside from the Jolly podcast, which started last October, and really just brings people to the forefront to really talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in a lot of different ways. So I focus on, whether I'm talking to the CEO of a marketing company, to an author, to a professor at a university. I mean, there's all sorts of journeys that we hear about. And then I really want to focus on how can these people in the dialogue that we're having actually connect to social and economic justice in our communities.
Wow. Man.
That's good stuff. There's some key things you said too in the beginning, is that you talked about finding yourself and talking to a coach and a few different coaches. And so I think that is like a top priority for a lot of people. I did it myself recently and got a coach and was like, well, who am I? And I'm telling you, it was life-changing. It was Tiffany James out there. I'm gonna give her a shout out. She coached me, and I still got a long way to go, but she opened up some doors and just brought some awareness. So I'm glad that you went and got some coaching. And then the other part that you said was gifts. It is so true. Like, it's not a gift unless you share it or you give it away. Yes. If you keep it to yourself, it's not a gift. And there's always a saying is that before I die, I want to open up all my gifts. I want to I want to be empty. I want to share everything that I have and die empty, because I don't want to leave any gift not open or unturned or whatever. So that's another great point that you shared, is like, share your gifts or else it's not a gift.
Wow.
And
somebody needed to hear that today.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And the inclusion part, we missed out on the opportunity of really having you on our forum, because we did a citywide forum with the chief of police, and we talked about diversity and equity. And man, if I would have known, all the great things that you're doing with Jolly and the experience that you had, you would have been a great person. But I get you all to myself on the air when you're the live show. So, I want people to hear exclusively from Melyssa Barrett, because you have so much to offer and so much to share with people, all your gifts. Wow. And so I want to come back after our commercial break. Is it time for a commercial break?
Just about. So I wanted to ask a question about your podcast. So how can people see it or view it? Where's that located?
So the podcast is available on every platform. So whether you listen to podcasts through Apple or Spotify or our iHeartRadio or wherever, if you look it up, it's called the Jolly Podcast, spelled Jali. And you probably will see my picture or something associated with it.
Yeah, there it is, right there, the Jolly Podcast. I just did a quick search, but it's right there. Can they get that link from your MelyssaBarrett.com too?
Yes, of course. Yes, you can actually even listen to the podcast on MelyssaBarrett.com as well.
Cool.
Wow.
Yes.
Look, she technology savvy.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to put you to work when we get back. All right, cool. There we go.
There's our numbers up game. We'll be playing that very shortly. So please do put your number 1 through 50 in the chat. look through and see if the number is taken already and choose a different number. But the winner wins a $10. It's $10 this time.
Yeah.
And so if we don't get a winner, it'll be $20 next week. So put in your numbers and we will get right back to you with Melyssa Barrett.
Yes.
All the way up, turn it all the way up to the max. All the way up, turn it all the way up to the max. All the way up, turn it all the way up to the max. All the way up, turn it all the way up. And telling the brother calm down, and fit a square with a round hole. Cause every time that I come around, I turn it as loud as it go. Sipping the rock, pink collide, or give me the lime. Ready or not, give me a sign if you want me to stop. Giving it to you a cappella, the music will drop. One at a time, singing a rhyme on the drop of a dime. It's got time to shine, baby. I'ma break it down until it's liquid. Turn up, stir it up, call it biscuit. Hold up, I'm turned to the max. So loud, I got a deaf mute in the back. I'm not gonna do what it does. The first time that you heard the names on the track. All the way up, turn it all the way.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with Melyssa Barrett. She's, she's just this remarkable woman that has all these
Vice
resources.
President, Visa, CEO, Board of Directors of Ballot. Man, she does it all. She's doing a little bit of everything. Tap into her. Check out her website, too, which is MelyssaBarrett.com.
Yes, definitely. And those commercials were brought to you again by Shelty. L.A. Jackson was the music for In His Image, barbershop out in Fairfield, I believe. And so check him out. You got to see Jay Lee. He's the owner of In His Image. And then the other commercial was
Work Bond 209.
Yes. And you know, Shelty, I want to know how much it costs for LA Jackson to do a little music background for our commercials. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But anyways, let's get back to Melyssa.
Yeah, so look at that. Comment from Rose. Fully exposed the property deposit into every life assigned for me to touch and receive whatever is needed for me to fully grow. Amen.
Amen.
All right, preacher.
Yes.
What's up, Bruce? Number 10. He's number 10 today.
Yeah, and Kimberly.
Kim's number
she's
23.
Upscale. Go check her out. Upscale Catering.
Upscale Catering in the Tracy outlets.
Yes, right next to us.
Dynamic food, gosh.
Yes, Upscale. There's a text message. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I was broke and fat eating her food all the time. Anyways, back to Melyssa. Melyssa, so let's talk about
balance.
Okay. So
balance, right? You're the board of director of Balance. Tell us what Balance does.
I am. So Balance is an organization, a nonprofit that nationwide, they focus on smart money coaching, financial education, and really, you know, they are there for people who are having trouble, whether they're having trouble, you know, paying their bills, whether they're trying to figure out how to create the plan so that they can buy their own house. They do home ownership counseling. They do a variety of things. And one of the reasons I love being on the board of directors for them is they are a nonprofit, but they really kind of set the standard. They have a high bar for making sure that they are delivering the value and the service for people that are really looking to change their life, to figure out, you know, how they can, you know, shift gears and make sure that they can create the wealth not only for them, but for, you know, their generations behind them.
Have you seen an influx of people utilizing those services since the pandemic?
I would say yes and no. I think in some cases we've seen more, but in a lot of cases, because we've had a lot of stimulus packages, we've had, rental programs, kind of suspend and, all sorts of things going on to try and provide the relief. So I think in some cases, maybe we're not seeing as many as you might see if we hadn't had all of that. And so there's obviously concern for when those types of programs go away, what happens to people? And we want to make sure we're there for them, no matter what. So,
yeah, I think it's really important. Yeah, the relief is there and people are getting help, but you want to be able to be proactive instead of reactive, so that when it's all gone, then now you're reacting, and then now you're scrambling, and then when really you should be taking your being proactive and taking the steps in just in case, or even just in case, or even after getting your together.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to create your spending plan, understand, how you can change and create a better life for yourself. I think everybody's always looking for better ways to manage their money, make sure that they have emergency funds, build up their retirement, all of those things. Life is a journey, right? So when you learn better, you do better. And one of the things that they want to do is make sure that you know how to manage your money.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's important. It's super important because, during the pandemic, people were paying out. Some people that were proactive, they're like, I have the means. I'm paying off all my credit, and it's just. And Eric and I did that too. We paid most of our credit off during the hardship, but we were able to do that, and it felt like, there isn't even a word for it. It just felt like this big burden, like
relief.
Yeah. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's just this great feeling. And I'm glad we had the opportunity to do that. But, people, they want this 1 minute quick fix, and or they wait till the last minute and they're scrambling. So definitely tap into balance now, and at least get your finances or your budget, or get it together. And it's a nonprofit, right?
It is. Yeah, which is why I like it, because I mean, I think there's a lot of folks out there, even with respect to credit repair, there's a lot of folks that are charging money to help you fix your credit. And one of the things that, one of the reasons that I wrote the book, Credit Repair Kit for Dummies, the 5th edition, and I have 2 wonderful co-authors. One of the reasons was to make sure that people knew what they could do on their own. And, if you have a dispute, how do you want to do that? You can go somewhere and figure that out. Sometimes different methods work for different people. So sometimes people like to read it. Sometimes people want to talk to somebody, pick up the phone. You can do that with balance. And so you got to meet people where they are and make sure that they have access to the information that they need at the time they need it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, and then some people like to pay for it.
Some people like to pay for it.
Right? I mean, but, you can get it all in the same way, right?
Yes.
So, few questions that I have that I was writing down. Like, how young are your clients? Typically, the youngest clients. And
for balance, typically they're, our typical client, I would say on average, is likely in their 30s. Tends to be more women than men. And they're fairly diverse. I think our CEO right now, he's a Hispanic Latinx gentleman with a lot, and he's worked his entire way up through the organization. So he started, as working for another organization and then came on board managing all of the credit counselors, and has now achieved the CEO. And he is just, comes with a lot of passion for, how he wants to change people's lives.
Wow, that's really
Shout
good.
out to Rico Delgadillo.
All right, Rico, doing some big things. And, and the reason I ask, because I think, some of the foundations have to start really early, right? And when you see families, that have bad spending habits, a lot of times the kids see that.
Yes.
I mean, I've had money and then didn't have money. And so, it was a situation where you have to learn. And so I think education is really key at a young age. Do you guys offer anything for younger, like teens?
Yeah, so we do a lot of different things. You can, I think Balance recently did a couple of webinar and seminars for nonprofits in our area. Delta Sigma Theta, I think, did one. The National Coalition of 100 Black women did one, Central Valley. And so they will actually come out and certainly, spread that education. But what I find is when people contact them, we've seen where, me as maybe a mother, wife, whatever, might call and get help. And then I will teach my children because there are so many teachable moments when you're actually making your own progress. And so there's lots of ways that they promote financial education in many, many different ways. They actually, even on their website, they have access to information, content for managing your money and learning about credit and all of those things as well. So feel free to go to their website and check it out.
Wow, that's good. So I got a question. Like, my credit is really bad. Where do I start? Right? That's not me, but,
I'm like,
I thought you just paid off all your cards. No, no, I think, well,
that's a tough question for a lot of people. Like, when you're so far in debt, you don't want to tell nobody, and then it just starts to get worse and worse until it's like, what do I do? So
yeah. So the first thing I tell people, because I remember how it was for me. I remember getting tons of mail and not opening any of it and, sitting it over in the corner like it was going to go away automatically. Yeah. And so most of the time I tell people, it's not just going to go away. So you have to make an assessment of what the situation is. How much debt are you in? How, far delayed are you with payments, whatever, because you can change your situation if you take action. So the sooner you take action, the better. And, you want to make sure you understand all of the things that are impacting you. So, make a list. Start with a spending plan. Start with all of your debts that you have, and make sure you're including everything. And then start thinking about what your spending plan looks like. And there are places, like I said, you could call Balance. You could, look up different spending plans. We have a spending plan in the book as well to try to help people understand how they can do that. But if you feel like, your credit is shot and, it's never going to, I'm never going to be able to get it right, you can get it right. It doesn't take as long as people think it does to actually change the trajectory of your credit score. So, the sooner you really take action, the better.
Yeah. Just get started. What's the name of your book?
Yes.
For dummies? What is it?
It's called The Credit Repair Kit for Dummies. And I have one right here.
What?
That's what it looks like.
Nice. Man, she got writing books. Where do you find all the time in the day?
You know what? And Eric, you know how I find the time, because I wouldn't have been able to write this without Workvine 209, because I had to go over there at night in order to make sure that I could finish the writing on it. So that's one of the reasons I signed up in the first place.
It's all good.
You know, we really don't know how we affect people, you know, and I feel like honored, blessed that we were able to help you. That's amazing.
Yes, you did it. I mean, it would not have been done if I didn't have that as an option, because, you know, during the pandemic, I had, you know, my mother come, and she's living here along with, I have 2 kids and they have 2 kids. So there's lots of distractions sometimes, and sometimes you just need focused time to write.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I used to see you over there just focused, like down in, like, don't talk to me.
I'm asleep because you would be dialed in.
Yes, but that's the way you do it, right? You do what you got to do till you get it done. So
I got one quick question, and then we'll do your call to action. But in balance, do they talk about or counsel people that have student loans?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they're looking at your whole picture, right? So, you know, whether you're trying to buy a house, whether you have debt already that you're trying to pay off, whether you're, you know, in foreclosure, you know, and somebody's calling you or about to do, you know, take your car away or whatever, they're used to taking calls and making sure that they figure out how to help you.
I know
that is what they do.
That are like, I'm not paying those student loans. I will.
They're not going nowhere.
Yes. And I'm like, why? You have the money. Pay them. Nowhere. They're not going anywhere. You might as well just pay them. But then, you know, we're also waiting on the relief, or if there is a relief that Biden is putting through to help.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a topic of conversation. So stay tuned for what happens.
Yes, definitely staying tuned to that. But any last words you want to leave the listeners? Any call to action? What do you have?
Yeah, so of course, I'm always looking for subscribers to the podcast. So hopefully one of you out there will at least subscribe, listen to a podcast, join in the conversation. You can always email me at melissa@melyssabarrett.com. If you have, you know, questions about diversity and inclusion, if you're looking to do something with your own business in the realm of diversity and inclusion, feel free to reach out. And I am the first one to email me actually gets a free copy of the book. So feel free to email me. You're first, you get a free copy, and I will definitely get it out to you.
Wow, that's great. Credit repair kit for dummies. If you want a free copy, email her right now. Better send that email.
I know a dummy that needs that book. Actually, that's not a right thing to say, is it?
It's for dummies, right? But it just makes it simple. It just simplifies everything. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've read those books. You know, so wow. So let's just go back. I just want you guys to review right now Melyssa Barrett, right? She is Vice President at Visa, CEO of Jolly Enterprises. She has MelyssaBarrett.com, and she also is the director for Balance. And there is a lot more to her. I mean, It's like we have to do 2 shows to kind of go back and talk about some of the other things that she's done, but she's done a great job sharing. And we hope that you guys got some good information today. Yeah, great conversation tonight. And thank you, Melissa, for just being a part of our show.
Much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining.
Yes.
And we are definitely going to ask you back because there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
And maybe we take each section and like give it a
dive into
it. Yeah.
You better believe I'll be picking your brain. You won't be able to focus no more.
Right. You know where you work.
One of the places.
One of the places, at least, yeah.
Wow, great. Well, thank you, Melyssa, for being a part of our show. But for those of you who are still on, remember the Numbers Up game is coming up right after this commercial break, and make sure you're present to win.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Melyssa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
All right.
My turn. Welcome back, everyone. We had Melyssa Barrett on our show. Man,
That was fun.
Show.
It was
That
exciting.
was a good show.
Yeah,
it was a lot of information. It was great conversation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's such an honor to have her as a member and as a guest. So, yes, Kim, really great information.
Yeah,
and again, go see her at Upscale Catering. The food is
magnificent. Maybe we can
to
have
die
her on the
for,
show and
yes.
do like some cooking
Yes.
stuff.
That would be
kind of
great.
cool.
What do you think, Kim?
Let us know. Let us know. Well, all right. Right now it's the Numbers Up game.
The Numbers Up game.
If you guys haven't put your numbers in, you better put them in. Put them in right now. Let's see.
I was gonna do this app that says pick a number, or should we do it the old-fashioned way?
Yeah, let's do this old-fashioned way, because that app, I don't know about that. But there's the number. All right. Ooh, numbers. What's happening here? We got a couple last-minute numbers. Uh-oh. Here we go. What's the number?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I got it.
It's
a very low number. It's 2.
Number 2. Rose, you're over. You're over. Over. What? Over. Oh my goodness. Let me just go back to it real quick. Make sure nobody looks like everybody is over today.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's over. No winner today. Sorry.
If I did the app, I want to see what it would have been.
If she would have did the app.
See, it would have been 31.
No, the app doesn't.
Sorry. Okay.
Whoops. Yeah.
All right.
It's all good. Well, no winner this week. You know what that means? That means that is torn to $20 next week.
Yes.
Yeah. It's exciting. That's exciting. Tell your friends. $20 next week.
$20.
Wow. So remember, email Melyssa. She probably got an email already, but if she didn't, you can email her at Melyssa Barrett. Melyssa at melyssabarrett.com to get a free book.
Yes.
That is exciting. She has a lot of valuable information. That was really good. Yeah. Wow. I mean, from diversity, inclusion, working in the corporate industry, starting her own business, writing a book. And, she's even part of many different organizations around the community where she adds value. And it's just incredible. I mean, take some lessons. I mean, gosh, I thought I was doing a lot, but she's doing
what
some.
I really liked about Jolly is that she took her husband's legacy and it's still something that she's pouring into, that she's passionate about,
Yeah.
and is teaching people. So, that's remarkable. It's to take his legacy and just have him follow, his dream, because they called him the Jolly. And so he had all these history nuggets, and now she's, taking it a step further and putting it into podcast and
Creating
really
that
keeping
legacy.
his dream alive. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. So, hey, well, thank you guys for being a part of our show. We really appreciate all you guys out there for always watching. Remember, $20 next week. Tell your friends, tell somebody. Also, remember, you're also welcome if you have anybody you know that want to be a part of our show, that can add some value, that want to share their stories. You're welcome to shoot us an email. Go to our website, workvine209.com, and we'll check it out. Yes, sir.
Definitely. You guys have a great evening, and we'll stay safe until we see you again next week.
6 o'clock, Tuesday.